So the main point of contention in here was over named colors and arbitrary colors. So I guess just for anyone who didn't see the video, the basic idea is named colors would be a set list of colors that then, or set list of color names that would then be defined. The actual color would be defined by the desktop. So you would have, say, red, blue, green, so on and so forth. But the meaning of red, blue, green would be defined by GNOME. It would be defined by KDE in their upstream their downstream portals that are being used on their desktop.
Mhm.
So the application would say, I want, it would say, I want the accent color red, and then depending on the desktops being run on, it would use whatever red is defined by that. Then you have arbitrary colors, which is more akin to what the user would expect, where I set the color, let's say 25500. So I set the color red. And then that red is used, assuming the same color space. Obviously, if you're outside of sRGB, things get weird then. But assuming the same color space, it is the same color regardless of where the application is being run. Is that correct, or did I misunderstand anything there?
No, you understood correctly. So yeah, essentially the difference is, I'll just reiterate just to make sure. The difference is instead of in named colors, right? The portal will return essentially one of a predefined set of colors, which would be
Mhm.
like red, orange, yellow, etc., right? Or an arbitrary color, the portal would essentially just return an arbitrary sRGB color,
Mhm. Yes,
right? That's the main
you
differences.
explained that a lot more coherently and concisely than I did.
Yeah. So here's our opinions, and I think
Mhm.
we've held these opinions from the start on this, right? I don't think named colors serve if you're gonna in a sort of an open standard, yes, to keep going to open, right?
Mhm.
Open standard like this, right? In an open public standard like this, you want to cater to I don't want to say you don't necessarily want to cater to all parties,
Mhm.
right? But you want to be generic enough where each platform can make their own restrictive decisions on their own or
Right.
how they interpret that on their own, right? So that's our main reason for wanting arbitrary, but also because, like, with name colors, you have the question, what colors
Mhm.
should go in there in the first place, right? And you can think, oh, we'll just put like red, yellow, green, but there's probably some other color that's missing that you probably want. And also, there's going to be desktops of disagreements, like of what color should be in that set, right?
And
So it's just
one
sort
other
of
thing is you have a
mhm,
desktop that wants to be focused around blue, for example. So they have a bunch of different versions of blue, or they're focused around green, want a
exactly,
bunch of different versions of green.
yeah. So I mean, that's another thing. Like, in when it comes to just our own cases, like at Fira and how, right?
Mhm.
As I mentioned before, we have the color, we have the engine that
Mhm.
generates the color palettes for the app, Libulium apps,
Mhm.
right? I said it before, it's like material you like. And what we do is we have an option, in addition to predefined colors that you can select from, we have an option where the user can essentially take their current wallpaper and then blend it into an arbitrary color, and then use
Okay.
that as the color that's used to derive the palette.
Huh.
And that doesn't really work well with named colors.
Mhm.
Um, I can, as for obvious reasons, you lose a lot of precision when go from the entire sRGB space, right, to 6, 10, 16
Mhm.
colors. And you have KD as well, and KD wants people to do whatever the fuck they want in that sense, right? So again, like, it makes more sense in that
Mhm.
regard. This is a protocol, right? User's not going to be like the user is not going to be consuming the accent color sent by the portal directly.
Mhm.
The platform is, right?
Mhm.
And as a standard, the platform is free, as with any other standard, right? The platform is free to interpret these values how they wish.
Mhm.
In the case of GNOME, if they want to snap it to a named color, good for them. For us, we want to run it through our fancy color engine, right? Good for us.
Mhm.
KDE, just show the color, good for them, right? So the actual color being sent is more of a concern of the platform than of the standard,
Mhm.
in our opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I can understand why a platform like GNOME, like there was a really good explanation about why GNOME wants to use name colors. Like that makes sense why you want to have these set colors that then you define other colors off of that to increase the level of contrast. Like that makes sense from an implementation perspective. I totally understand that. But that shouldn't be limiting what KDE wants to do, what Budgie wants to do, what actually Cosmic doesn't really care. Like Cosmic would just work with they don't exist yet anyway, so they're just gonna work with whatever exists.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as I know, right? I think one of I want to say I don't know who has a contact with somebody from who's working on Cosmic,
mhm.
right? But I think they were interested in supporting like I could be totally wrong, so very sorry if I'm misinterpreting or if I just misremembered. As far as I know, they do want to have some sort of like arbitrary color
Jeremy did say that in the
that the
thread,
user can
yes.
set. Yeah, but I don't think they had too much an opinion on how the protocol went.
Mhm.